welcome back to the Dear Katie podcast. This is Katie Kestner, and as you know, I have been journeying right alongside all of you as we go from week to week with guests ranging from survivors to activists to authors to a few celebrities here and there, and talking all about sexual violence, healing, thriving. It's always so important to take excellent good care of yourself anytime. Push pause, come back, do a somersault, fresh air, coffee break, whatever you need. You are the most important part of this equation. And then come back and keep journaling. If you've been doing the journal, this is a really special episode. This is about activism and agents of change and what's going on and how we are actually helping people not only heal, but also like our communities rethink issues around sexual violence through Take Back the Night. So I am so excited to have 3 Take Back the Night event holders, planners, organizers with us today. I know you all are going to be so invigorated by each and every one of them. And I'm just going to have each one introduce themselves so you get to know them. So first and foremost, hello, Faith. Where are you from? And tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, my name's Faith Fluker. I'm a senior at Auburn University, and I was the past president of Generation Action Planned Parenthood when we hosted our Take Back the Night event.
Nice. And what year are you there?
I'm a senior.
Okay, you're almost done.
Yes, ma'am.
And Auburn is in Alabama, right?
Yes, Auburn is a big SEC school located in Alabama. War Eagle.
Yeah, SEC football. So it's all about football there?
It is. It very much is.
Okay. And about how many students attend Auburn?
I'd say more than 30,000 easily. We're right in the middle of a large school and a not so large school where it feels like a family.
That's so great. And it's like a whole city right there.
It is.
All right. Well, nice to meet you, Faith. And next we'll go to Rebecca. Where are you from, Rebecca?
Hi, my name is Rebecca Pacheco. I use she, her pronouns, and I am from just outside of Toronto, Canada, the region of Peel. And that's where I am the coordinator of the Peel Committee Against Women Abuse, or PCAWA for much shorter, which is the official Violence Against Women Coordinating Committee in our community. And we have the privilege and honor of hosting Take Back the Night in our
Yay.
community.
And about how is you in a suburb of Toronto? Is it like
Mhm. It's a region just outside of Toronto. So we're very close, but there's a lot of like regional governments and regions that are situated around Toronto. And we are one and very large. Peel region is quite large. So we're very lucky to hold a big take back tonight for our
large, like 30,000, like where Faith is, or even more?
in the whole region. Can I quickly look that up before I say?
It's fine. We'll come back to you and you can
Okay.
share it later. Kori, go
Perfect.
ahead.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kori Koschalk-Newmister. I use she, hers pronouns. I'm the Assistant Director of Interpersonal Relations at Bowling Green State University, which is in Bowling Green, Ohio. So we're about 20 minutes south of Toledo. That would be our closest city. Within my role, I have the privilege of coordinating and helping host Take Back the Night at BGSU.
And how big is your school?
We're about 20,000 with our undergrad and graduate population.
Okay, nice. And Bowling Green, just for the sake, like there's so many big cities in Ohio. I feel like we have Columbus in the middle, and then Cleveland, and then so you all are on the Cleveland side.
We're Northwest Ohio, so Cleveland's northeast. We're northwest.
Northwest. Yep. Okay, gotcha. Closer over toward the Chicago side.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that is helpful. So let's go back to Faith and at Auburn. So how did you all start organizing your Take Back the Night? Was it in April last year? When was it? And who was involved?
So we actually started organizing in December of last year. So December 2024, we started organizing the march, but the march didn't actually occur until April the 23rd. It took months of planning and collaboration among us, the Women and Gender Studies Clinic at the university, multiple collaborations among teams, third parties to get this march done, but it was able to successfully happen after months of planning.
Yeah. So did y'all have any social media help? Did you have co-sponsors? Like who else got, was it funded by student government? Like how many different, you said the Women and Gender Studies program?
Yes, they were able to help us. We also partnered with them for an event called Denim Day on the same day as the march, which was a very bold vision of ours to bring those two events together. But we would not have been able to do it without the Auburn Women and Gender Studies program or Callisto. Callisto was able to provide funding for our event so that we were able to use Take Back the Night materials and pass along the message. Other than that, we
Yeah.
did, yes, ma'am. Other than that, we promoted through Instagram. We made the cutest flyers to pass out on campus. And I believe that did contribute to people going to the march as well, because I had people show me the flyers and say, "What is this?
Like
This is
real old
amazing."
school, like
Real,
paper.
real
Oh,
on
nice.
paper. It was very
Oh my
exciting.
gosh.
Yes, it was the first time I think that we've ever tried that method. And the reason why I said, how often the times do you go around campus and find a flyer for a cool event? And so I was very amazed that it worked and very happy as well.
Perfect. That's so good. And did y'all just brainstorm slogans? Like, can you remember any that seemed to really resonate?
I do. I don't remember any that quite resonated, but it was one. Oh, I guess this one did resonate. It was something about Auburn does not stand for this, or Auburn doesn't stand for violence. And the reason it resonated was because, as I was mentioning earlier in the conversation with Kori, Auburn is a very home community. It represents home and family. And so it just seemed obvious to me that, Auburn would not stand for the violence. So that really hit home for me. And I think that that was what I personally considered a slogan to myself as we planned for the event and initiated it.
Yeah. So it's like, it's so brilliant, Faith, because you made a match, kind of a mission match between the branding of the whole community and brought it right into Take Back the Night to make it like an easy 1-2 step into
Yes.
it.
Yes, that's exactly
So
what I
smart.
intended. Thank you.
Yeah, so smart. Okay, so Rebecca, how did you all organize and plan your event? It sounds like you've had quite a few.
Yeah, so this is now the fourth event. I've been had the honor and privilege of leading the planning, but particularly PCAWA has been planning it in our community since 2016. And I did look it up in the whole region of Peel, which goes across 3 unique cities. It's 1.4 million people.
Woo!
We definitely don't have 1.4
It's only
million
because
that
I'm
come
all
to the
involved.
event. Yeah. But it is a very large community and we do it as a community. So it's like the Take Back the Night in Peel. And so, yeah, this is going to be my fourth year. And in our community, and that includes communities around us, so around like Toronto and other communities, we do it the third Thursday of September, which means for us, it's this
Yay!
week. Yeah.
So excited.
Yeah. Our Take Back the Night is this
Nice.
Thursday. Yeah, it's very exciting and it's going to be a hectic week.
Okay.
Yeah, we start our planning like in the spring for September, but it really ramps up throughout the summer months. And then the third Thursday of September, we do our march.
Nice. And then in the past, Rebecca, like how many people have attended?
Yeah, it really ebbs and flows, but I would say we probably have 100 to 150 people that come out. But every year that I've been a part of it, it's grown. So every year I see more and more people coming out, and it's incredible. So I'm anticipating this year we're going to have even
Great,
more.
great, great. And when you all, since it's more community based, do you reach out like to
Mhm.
local hospitals? Do you talk to police,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
schools? Like who are your
Yeah.
target point?
Such a great question. So, our committee is made up of member organizations, and those organizations are active service providers in the community. So, representative of that is like gender based violence shelters. We have like the sexual assault center. We have victim services. We have schools. We have our local police. So, we have all these community partners that are part of our planning, that are part of our committee. So they all are actively involved in both the planning and they all attend the event as well. So they're all actively involved throughout the
That is such
process.
a good. I'm so glad you described that, Rebecca, because for our listeners, I haven't really talked about all the Take Back the Nights I've done and spoken at over all these years. It was just such a safe haven for me when I just started because I was like, oh my gosh, there's actually humans on other campuses this long ago who are trying to eradicate sexual violence and support survivors. So Take Back the Night has always been that like little tiny beacon of bright light, usually just on one day a year, but so important. And what I was going to say, Rebecca, I think you've captured something I really want to infuse in more event holders' ideas. Like you get automatic buy-in. It's a little bit of a guilt trip, but if you say, okay, like you could do it like at Faith at Auburn, like all the Greeks or all the sports teams, like all of a sudden, if every single house has to have a delegate to help out and every sports team has to have somebody involved, or residence halls, like all of a sudden you get everyone has to do it, right? Like you don't want to be the only sorority not participating in Take Back the Night. It's not a look, right? Uh, so I'm just thinking like we could try that more often for all the folks listening today. Like if you are going to get involved with your own area or community or schools event, like this is such a good idea. And Rebecca's testimony to how well it can work. And then I assume, Rebecca, when you're planning, those delegates come and meet with you, or are you doing in person or on Zoom meetings to plan?
Yeah, most of the planning meetings are on
Mhm.
Zoom, because we're situated like around the
Mhm.
community. And then, of course, the event is in person, but all the planning happens online. So it's really great that we're able to come together, even though we're not physically together, we're able to connect. And so many different people's ideas and perspectives are put together in those planning
Yeah.
meetings. So every year it creates new ideas, new events, like more engagement. It really adds to the event in our
Brilliant.
community.
Okay. And now, Carrie, go ahead. How's Bowling Green doing? It's planning.
So we partner very closely with the Cocoon, which is our domestic violence and sexual assault agency in Wood County. And so we take the lead on planning so that way it's not just a campus event, so that way it's an entire community event. We know our campus is a big part of the community, but we want everyone to feel welcome. And so we take the lead and then consult with some of our campus and community partners. So we've been very fortunate. Our university libraries has donated a substantial amount of money to help us fund the event because we have it in the library. So you wouldn't necessarily think a library, but
Cool.
that's where we have it, and they have a great space. And so they're so supportive. They stayed open late for us this past year. We host ours in April. And so we had it on a Friday night. They stayed open an extra hour and a half to accommodate us to make sure that we had the time and space we needed. And so we're so appreciative of their support. Uh,
Yeah.
we start planning
I was
in the summer because space on campus books up. I don't know about you, Faith, but for us, things book up so quickly. So we try to make sure Take Back the Night has the space it needs on the day we want it. But we really ramp up our planning in the fall.
Okay, cool. And I was thinking about this is another thought, Carrie, and I'll just kind of throw out tips because everybody's listening, and y'all could take any of them. A book, since all your communities have libraries, another really good partnership is to ask the library itself to do a book display on this topic, like just because then it's like a very clandestine, sneaky way, like if I'm not an out survivor, and make sure you have like
Yeah.
an inclusive like display, like male survivors need support too, right? So
Absolutely.
making sure like and if they are lacking books, maybe a small amount of funding from someone can go get some of those needed resources, so that, or interlibrary loans or whatever, just be prepared, because if you can bring those books into your library from other libraries in the system, that is so important. And I love all the sneaky ways we can support survivors who aren't ready to like just wear that badge, and um, just are nervous about like who's going to find out. And there's so many problems with stalking and um, you know being afraid of someone taking a retaliation. And let's not even go there. Okay, so back to Faith. So let's talk about like who exactly showed up? Like, was it mostly women? Like, how, was it mostly for you're almost a senior? Was it all different years? Were there any professors? Like any local people infiltrating, like coming in from like, but I remember some of the Take Back the Nights. It was so much fun to see like grandmas there. I was like, yay, grandma, who showed up. Like, it was just like a community. They were like, I just wanted to see what y'all were doing and just hang out. And this is really cool. We used to have like, because some of them have been around since the 60s. They're like, we know how to like revolt and rebel.
Yeah.
So they love it. They're like, wow, I didn't even know anything like this was still going on. So who was there?
I wish I had a cool grandma story, but unfortunately, I don't think that any grandmothers attended. However, I will say there was the most amazing range of ages, seniors in college like I am, but not just seniors, were graduating that semester, graduated this semester, freshmen coming in who had heard about the event or been told by a friend who didn't know that there was a space for it on campus. We had people of all demographics and all ages, not just men, but also women and non-gender identifying people as well. It was the most amazing thing ever to just see the amount of signs up and to see all the specific issues that people were concerned about. And people might not necessarily come from the same group, but they still have the same concerns on campus. So it was a very wide variety, I'll say, and that was one of the most amazing things ever. Because yes, we had sorority girls come out, but we also had people who like video games and Dungeons and Dragons, like myself. And so
Dungeons and Dragons. No, wait, what? Is it? I thought that was like the 80s.
It's still around.
It's still out there.
It's still around. Yes, it's still around.
Wow.
And that was the most amazing thing ever. Just talking to the different people who came to the event. It was a special
That's so
occurrence.
fantastic. I love that. I'm like, we can all brainstorm on this session too, because we're just throwing out ideas. But I always wonder, I don't think you could gamify Take Back the Night. Like, I don't know what you could do. But like, if there was some way to get the gamers involved, I'm like, how could we get them involved to like, figure out where the predators are? Like, there's a book. There's a book that was out of Columbia. Two professors. I had them on my podcast, but in essence, the book was about like identifying rape is something. It has a location. Like, you don't do it on a screen. So it has to happen somewhere. And we know that most sexual assaults happen on the victim's turf, like their apartment, house, car. But they started like digging into like power control, like if first years are always going to senior residence halls, that might be like a big power difference. So maybe a better solution is mix in all the different grades so there's no one place of like power, much like a fraternity if the parties are happening there. So I was speaking in South Korea, you guys, believe it or not, for a military base. And I just said, it was such a long, like 16-hour plane ride. I started thinking about like a zillion ways to end sexual violence. And I was like, like other things. Here's just one random thought just to throw this out before we keep going. I think I said in my speech, I said, if rapists are in part addicted to sex, like they're predators because they can't hear no, right? They can't stop, or they are willing to override that because they must have this as a form of power and control. I was like, it's like if you had an addiction to Oreos, like, meaning like this, like if you have a problem with Oreos, you don't put them in front of your face. Like until you like get rid of the addiction, the poor Oreos are going to get eaten. Right. And they don't have a say in the matter. So if you have an issue with power and control, I think we haven't really addressed it that way sometimes. Like, I just want our Take Back the Night folks to get really creative about like what are some of the new ways we can think about the problem, and really say, like this predatory behavior is in part like an addiction to power and control using sex, right? And non-consensual touch. So I don't know. I'm just thinking, but y'all can think alongside me as we go. Faith, I did have one more question before we move to Rebecca. It's great to hear all the diversity. In terms of the components, you all did a march, right, through
Yes, ma'am. A
campus?
walk through campus. Yes, ma'am. We're kind
Yeah.
of mixed on the language between march and walk, so we'll call it a walk for
Yeah. Oh,
safety.
you had a big discussion? What did you what did y'all decide?
We kind of, the school, in terms of specific things, because of the campus that we do live on, it was decided that we use the term walk, but tell people, this is a march. We want you to be loud. We want you to be proud. We don't want you to be afraid to say things. If we get in trouble, it happens afterwards. We talk to the university afterwards. It was about not
Right.
silencing survivors. So I know officially in all of my emails, I was like, this is a walk. We're going to do a
Walk.
walk. And then to the people who came, I was like, this is a march, guys. We are marching for rights. So yes, we kind of decided
Packaging is
both.
everything.
Yes, packaging. That's what I really
Oh my
decided to do.
gosh, that's so smart.
Strategic.
That's great, Faith. That's a way to be sneaky about it.
Thank you.
But like officially, definitely getting approval, we've got to do what we've got to do,
We
right?
have to.
So you did the walk. Did you have any like one time I remember at Dartmouth we did one and we walked through campus where every rape had been reported and we lit a
Wow.
candle, a real one, and melted some wax and let it like stick there. And we did a moment of silence at each like candle on the sidewalk in front of each like hate to say it, fraternity house and this apartment and like wherever they had been reported. So did y'all have a purpose to your route or was it just wherever y'all could go?
First, let me say that is an absolutely amazing thing to integrate into the walk, highlighting where those moments took place, because I know that calling it out publicly, but also letting people know that these areas might not be the safest. We also have areas on campus where, they'll have, I won't say it in the podcast, but there will be certain slogans about certain frats that are, you tell to freshman girls to warn them, please don't go near this house. You will not be okay. So on our walk,
Oh,
yes, there are more. Surprisingly, there are more where I live at the frat houses. So we didn't want to take students off campus, especially at night, to guide them into an unsafe area. So what we decided to
mhm.
do was start the march on Toomer's Corner. As I was telling Kori earlier, Toomer's Corner is historic to Auburn and its traditions. When Auburn wins any
Oh,
type of sports game, we will go TP. So we'll roll it with toilet paper when we win any game.
gotcha.
But it's also, it's the site of political activism moments after an election, a protest for a war. People will try to do things at Toomer's Corner. So we chose to do it right after, I believe there was a protester that was injured while protesting the violence that's going on overseas. So we decided to start it right there in the middle, just to say, everything that's going on in Auburn feels overwhelming and scary and sad, but we are here to support. And so we chose to walk there directly in front of Auburn's historic places. So there's also Sanford Lawn, that's very big to Auburn, and we took it all the way through campus. And I know when we discussed the route, it was to say, during the day this route feels safe. You feel completely fine when you're surrounded by other students. But if you are a woman walking at night, you do not feel safe taking this route. It goes from being just a simple walk through campus to take your headphones off, be aware of your surroundings. And it showed me how I feel unsafe even at a safe school. But it also, and I will bring this up, we recently just had a professor that was attacked and killed on one of the biggest parks in Auburn. And so it made me think about us having that march and speaking up about violence, and how important it is
Mhm.
for us to keep continuing to do so, especially when things like this happen on campus and you're truly not always safe, even if you feel like it. So that's how we planned out the route.
That's so beautiful, Faith. I love it. I'm sorry about the recent tragedy. It's just it feels never ending, but at least we're trying to do what we can. You know that I mean it's better than my motto is silence changes nothing. And I loved when you said be loud, we can all be loud. I think another it just reminded me, Faith, of I was speaking at I think it was not Alabama. I think it was in Georgia. Which I can do the Southern accent because I spent like my first 12 years down south, growing up in Georgia. But we had the speak out part, and one of the women got up and she opened her speech with, the gentleman who raped me. And I was like, the gentleman who raped me is the title of a book.
Yeah.
That is like oxymoron right there.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? Like southernness, we need to drop that right now.
It's very southern.
There's no the rapist was a gentleman. Unless we go back to like Rhett Butler and like Scarlett O'Hara, maybe that's the one we're talking about way back when. But I think it's really marvelous. It's such a joy to hear how you orchestrated around a lot of really important issues and being really mindful about how it's going to feel to different people. Faith, just bravo and kudos. I can't wait till this year for you. Okay, back to Rebecca up in Canada. So tell us more. And just to push pause, I was thinking about most of our Canadian friends do their events in September or October. And there is a reason I do know it, but I imagine you know it too, right, Rebecca?
I don't
Oh,
know. Tell
good
us.
news. Like this little head of mine's got lots of info. So way back when even before, shortly around the time when I was assaulted, in Canada in September, there was a mass shooting of women on a campus. And the shooter, this was like, oh my gosh, one of the first ever mass shootings like this. Now I feel like we hear about them so often in the US, but this was a mass shooting. And the shooter said, I hate women. I'm going to shoot as many as I can. Like it was pure misogyny, targeting women as a hate crime. And because to honor that event in September and those women who died, y'all hold your events in September. So
I'm wondering too if and there could be another situation, but we had that in December in
another,
Montreal. It was December. Yes, it was in Montreal at a university actually. And we honor that on December 6th. And so we also host, we call it the December 6th Vigil. So we do our Take Back the Night in September. And then in December, we do a vigil where we remember those 14 women. And then we also take time to remember the women in each of our communities that have been murdered. And we use the word femicide now. That's becoming more and more popular language. That have been murdered in a femicide. We take time on December 6th to mourn them and remember them and honor them as
wow,
well.
that's so powerful, Rebecca. And December 6th, also just for context, there's something called the 16 Days of Global Activism. And that falls like at the tail end of that
Yeah.
period. So it's like Thanksgiving. So, we in the US, believe it or not, don't do much with it, but now Take Back the Night's holding our first ever global event this December 5th. Yeah, so we put together a panel of 12 from the United Nations to Japan, like India, Nigeria, like all over the globe, all my friends. I'm like, come on, you guys, let's do this thing. And we tried to put it at the least bad time. So everyone could be wide awake for 90 minutes. So yes, so definitely, I'm glad you talked about that too, Rebecca. That's important. And I think it's hard. Like it's so easy to think that was so long ago. It doesn't have relevance. But if we don't keep honoring the past, how are we going to ever learn from it, right? Yeah, so beautiful. So let's talk more about who's at your event. Like you said, 150 last year.
Yeah, so we're quite lucky. We have a wide range of folks that attend our event. We often have kids as well that join us. So some will have like dedicated activities for the kids that join us at the event. We have community members, but again, we also have a lot of folks that represent service providers at the event. So they'll all have like community booths where they'll set up their tables to share information about like the services they offer, particularly to survivors of violence and gender-based violence. And we also engage men as well in the event. So at our event, what we prioritize is we invite women, trans, and gender diverse folks to join us on the march. And we always facilitate a male allyship activity for the men that attend the event. So we have a cisgendered man come out that's actively involved in this work. So he can engage meaningfully with our male allies around how they can be supporting us in this work and the role that they have to play in ending gender-based violence. And it's incredible opportunity to, again, meaningfully engage. And there is a role for men in this work, and we want to engage in that. And we have, it's always such meaningful conversation. We bring somebody different in, that's already involved in this work, and so that's something as well, because sometimes we get the question like, are men invited? And we say like, yes. And not only that, like, we want to make a specific space for you folks to engage with each other, right, and to have that meaningful conversation. So we say like the invitation goes out to everybody because there's a space for everybody at the event.
Nice. And so you all do a walk too, or a march?
Yeah, so we march. Yeah, we march. We march loud and proud, and we have a poster making station at the event. So we provide all the posters, the paint, the paintbrushes, and so my favorite are all the photos of everyone's posters, all the incredible signs, the messages. And so yeah, people, we have chants. I have the megaphone. I have the loud voice, and it's my biggest privilege to lead the chants. And so we scream, we yell, we have our signs. It's
For the
quite
chants,
special.
are you doing like, 2468 no more date rape? Are you doing like women unite? Well, like, what are the chants?
Yeah. My favorite, and I can't even explain the feeling I get. So I yell, "Tonight's the night," and then they yell to take back the night. And to hear it like echoed and just screamed, and the power that holds. And then I also, one we always yell is, "What do we want? Safety. When do we want it? Now." And it just to hear the like safety and now to be yelled so passionately, like goosebumps. Like, you can't even describe it, to have all of these folk, like women and gender diverse folks, screaming for what they demand, and it, that just being safety, nothing like radical, like literally just safety. It, every year I leave charged, like it just like fills me up. It's so special.
Yeah, that's infectious. I can see it right on your face. I love it. I can tell. Okay. Kori, what's going on over in Bowling Green?
So for us, we have a similar size to you, Rebecca, about 120, 130 individuals, and it's people from throughout our community. So it's students, faculty, staff, but also community members. It's really fantastic to see everyone. A part of what we have built in is having some of our key campus partners present, so that way students can identify them. So our Office of Title IX folks are there, Office of the Dean of Students, our counseling center, those key resources that a survivor might need. We want to make sure that they know who these individuals are, so they can either connect during the event or, if they need to connect afterwards, but we want to make sure that those people are present. We just love that the community shows up, because again, even though it's on our campus, we want to make sure that everyone in our Bowling Green community knows this is for them, because we have unfortunately within the last few years had someone who was murdered as a result of domestic violence, and we know these things are happening, and so we want to make sure we're kind of like you, Faith, Bowling Green's very homey, right? Our city wouldn't function without our university and vice versa. So we're the Bowling Green Falcons. So, the Falcons flock home, and we make sure that we really take care of each other. And it's a very important part of everything that we do at BGSU.
Yeah, Kori, as you were speaking, I was thinking about a question we get asked at the foundation level a lot, which is like when, in the US, Rebecca, I'm not sure about Canada, we have a lot of laws about mandated reporters at colleges. So there's a big concern of, if I'm at a Take Back the Night and I've never formally reported my assault, and there's university professors or mandated reporters there, are they mandated to report? And we at Take Back the Night have gotten advice that no, they're not obligated to report at that specific event. It's treated as kind of a confidential zone. Do you feel like, Kori, a lot of the survivors know that going in, or do we need to do more work on that awareness?
I think, the more awareness, the better. We do have information that we give everyone up front. We've worked out with our Office of Title IX that we have a specific information sheet from them that we give anyone who speaks during the speak out. So that way we can maintain that confidentiality within the space. But yeah, I think anytime that we can reinforce, that safety, I think that goes a long way with our survivors.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a collective safe space, where everyone can, and I think contact, I think about like, sometimes people hold hands, sometimes like people don't want any contact. And some people are huggers, some people are like, no hugs for
Yeah.
me. I think it's all like about providing that, like collective understanding that there's nothing about what you might feel comfortable or not comfortable with that is weird or
Absolutely.
strange. Like we are really attuned to that everyone's needs
Yes.
are unique and everyone's at a different place. I thought, maybe we could talk about this next idea is like, just for a moment to chat it up with the three of you, and then we'll head back to your Take Back the Night events. Like, I've been talking with on the podcast, and also just going around the country talking to millions of
Yeah.
people. I think a thing that I've been thinking about is, and I'll say it this way, and then I loved your responses. It's like a ranking of sexual violence. How bad is it? And like, is yours like your situation? Like, I'm not as much of a survivor as you are. It's so, and then in part, I think there's that like maybe floating up beneath the surface. And then I feel like sometimes the media and maybe even some of the more flashy movements like the Me Too with all the celebrities, like it's like you need to be this perfect survivor or like have this really famous person involved, and then or you need to be a certain wealth or race or like I don't know, or if you're a virgin, oh my gosh, you poor virgin, like you're you're much more of a victim than like somebody who's already had sex with 12 people, right? I just think whatever we can do to like flatten that many wrinkles of ranking is really important. And I don't know if there's if you're doing anything in your spaces around it, or if you've thought about it, or what your individual thoughts are. So I don't know. I hate to put you first, Faith. We've been going this way. So
No,
what are you thinking about?
it's fine. It made me think about I now work instead of Planned Parenthood Generation Action Planned Parenthood. I now work for Advocates for Youth for their Alabama Youth Activist Alliance. So we were in
Mhm.
DC this summer doing training, and we were having sort of a session closer to this one. A safe space where if you wanted to talk about any experiences you had. And I brought up, it was the silliest thing looking back on it, but I said, like, well, I've, like, been a survivor of different things, but I've been casually assaulted, and I just brushed it off. And, everyone looked at me and they were like, Faith, you just downplayed a huge experience to you. And I explained it, and they were like, there's nothing casual. But as someone who's actively an undergrad in college, there's, like I mentioned earlier, there are certain frat houses that you know not to go to. There's one specific bar in Auburn that if anyone who sees your podcast, Katie, sees this, and they will know exactly which bar I'm talking
I know
about.
which one.
Yes, it has been you tell girls, like, I know that you're going to want to go there, but please be safe, stay with someone. And then you see them again and something's happened, and it is absolutely heartbreaking. So I do think that, telling people that regardless of what you experience, whether it's someone grabbing your private parts or, forcing themselves on you, it's not okay. And it happens way too often on college campuses, and too often you're just told to accept it. I've been out with friends and I've experienced, I'll just say, incidents with my own, personal trauma. And they say, well, the night's not over with. You should have known what you were getting into. And that's been a conversation that I've had. So I think that when we tell people, regardless of how you've experienced a sexual assault or trauma or just anything at all, it is all important. It is all a violation of your body and your control and your consent. So when we take back, like, when we take back that word, like, hey, it doesn't matter if it was like, if you're the perfect victim or if more force was used, it's about the consent and the power. And at the end of the day, power was being violated, and everything is an assault that you label as an assault if you were affected by it. So that's how I feel about that.
Thank you. That was really nicely said. And thanks for sharing, Faith. That's really powerful that you were willing to share that part about your own life story. Rebecca, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think absolutely this idea of the perfect victim is so harmful, because it invalidates so many survivor experiences. And even Faith, what you're talking about, that internalized victim blaming, that like we're minimalizing our own experience of sexual violence, because that's the popular rhetoric around gender-based violence and sexual violence is very victim blamey. And so we then internalize that and minimize our own experience, that it wasn't that bad. Experiencing violence is bad. It should not happen, in full stop. And so any kind of experience of that, like, oh, when I compare it, or it wasn't that, like, no, we need to stop ourselves and be like, nobody deserves, there's nothing that justifies an experience of violence, and nobody deserves that. And for us, it's a lot of that validation piece to be like, it is not okay, and I believe you. Believe survivors first and foremost, always. You don't have to prove anything to me. This is the truth. Your truth is our truth, and we move forward with that. It's not your job to make me believe you. I believe you. Like, as like, that's an additional burden that survivors then carry to be like, to explain, and no, like, you don't owe me that. Like, I believe you. And in a world where we have so much victim blaming rhetoric, and it's very much now, there's this heightened sense of false reporting and misreporting, and the impact that that has on survivors to come forward. The idea of I believe you is so important, and like trying to get that message out there that there are people that are going to believe you, is so important. And I think it relates to this idea of the perfect victim. And if you don't fill that mandate, then you're not going to want to come forward because you're nervous no one's going to believe you. And it's so harmful. So it's such an important thing to talk about.
Absolutely. Thanks, Rebecca. And Carrie, what are you thinking?
Yeah, Faith, Rebecca, thank you so much for what you both shared. I think the continued conversations, right, making sure that people know that you can talk about these things. So often we hear that, well, what I experienced wasn't that bad. Like you both shared, if you experienced anything, it was that bad. Nobody deserves to have that experience. And so I think events like Take Back the Night, or other things that we can do within our communities where we're creating those safe spaces and making sure that people know that there are others around who they can speak their truth to is so important. I didn't speak about my own survivorship publicly until my first Take Back the Night in 2022. And it was, being in that space in the speak out and hearing everyone sharing. I had always minimized my experiences, but that really opened my eyes that what I experienced wasn't okay. And it's even continued the passion that I have for this work and really fueled what I want our Take Back the Night event at Bowling Green to look like: the safe space, making sure that people have advocates around, knowing that, their truth is their truth and we do support and believe them. It's just meant so much to me to be a person to create those safe spaces and make sure people know that they can share their truth.
Absolutely. Wonderful, Carrie. Okay, so last kind of round, I'd like to talk about, what's next. Are there any pieces of advice you'd give to other event planners who are going to hear you? So kind of like goals for your next one. I know yours is really soon. Rebecca, you can share anything you're like hopeful in this week coming up. We're going to send you good vibes. But like, I guess kind of next, like goals and hopes, and maybe if advice, like if you hit any, I mean, you shared already like the nuance of march versus walk. But any other like tips or tricks? So next steps and tips and tricks kinds of ideas. Go ahead, Faith.
I'd say the main thing I'd say to people planning this march is no idea is ever too small. When I first brought it up in December, I had to wait for a new committee to come by that did not think I was crazy for wanting to do this. We are a small club, or Generation Action is a small club. And when I brought up the idea of, doing this huge march on campus, getting all these people involved, it was like, girl, we do not have the power for that. So I went over the break, Thanksgiving break at this point, I went and it just kept picking at my mind. I just kept hearing so many women talking to me casually about their stories, telling me about this bar. I recently, no, it was last year, I had my final bad experience at this bar, just something that, really said, no, this is not happening again. This is not happening to any other women. And after that, I was just on go. I came back with a new committee. I was president this time. I said, hey guys, I think this is important. And we need to put all of our attention towards this. So I'd say no idea is too big, just because looking back, and especially speaking with you, Katie, I see things that we could have, people we could have gotten involved. We should have went to Greek organizations and said, hey, you need to get involved in this. I know that I personally, as someone in a Greek organization, I'm going to be pursuing that the next time this march happens, telling people you need to be involved, especially if you hold a position of power on campus, especially if people are going to listen to you or follow your behavior. I think the next piece of advice I'll say is nothing is too small to be considered a march or a walk. If it was just 4 people out there marching, that is still, someone's going to say, hey, what are those 4 people doing? I see them walking with signs and they're chanting. I'm interested in what they're saying. So even if it's just you and a friend, nothing is ever too small. Any impact of using your voice will be powerful. Using your voice is how you become heard. So I would say don't shy away from the fear that you won't get a big 100-person march, that everybody won't come out, that things may fall through. As long as you use your voice and your message is being heard, that is the most important aspect of the march. So.
Yeah, I love that. And when you said, Faith, about 4 people, I was picturing one time there were maybe only 25 of us in the march, in the walk, when I was speaking at. And we walked past, they started, I was like, this is a good sign. They're noticing. Like you said, they want to hear what you're saying. Well, this was, we walked past the men, it was a single sex men's, I hate to blame the men, but it was a men's residence hall. They had come back from, they were eating in their rooms. It was hot, so the windows were open. So they started chucking their sandwiches at us. And I was like, okay, you're giving up your dinner for us. We must be really annoying you because you're not going to eat tonight. But I was like, that's a reaction. It's at least it's not what we like. Yay, you all are so great. But if it's anger, they have to pay attention. And I think sometimes we think as activists, we want this right reaction, but I say we want a reaction. A reaction is the right reaction, because even when people get really angry or anger and fear are just flip sides, right? So if anger means I'm a little bit afraid of you, and so I have to harass you because you're making me irritated because you have a little bit of power, then it's like a not great dialogue with language, but it's at least it's I like to reframe. That's how I would say, just for you all plus our listeners, if everyone's like, how are you doing this so long? And it's just a matter of attitude and reframing and thinking, and not self-blaming and not getting stuck. There's no time to be stuck. There's only time to do more. There's not, if you just and if somebody says no, it's like, what do they teach you in business school for sales? Do 100 calls, you'll get 3 yeses. We need to be that aggressive. We need to keep trying. We need to be the scientists, keep experimenting until we find some more traction. So congratulations, Faith, on what you just said. I loved it. Rebecca, you're next.
Faith, I love what you said around there's no idea that's like too small. And that's really resonated for us and for me. And now my number one thing is like you never know where one email can bring you, one ask can bring you. And I've now I've reached out to folks, and yeah, out of every 10, maybe you hear back from one, or out of what, like exactly what you said, Katie. But when you do get that one person, it's so meaningful and beautiful things can be created. In our community, a few years back, I reached out actually to the local, one of the local universities in our community because we engage with them too for the event, and they had an art gallery on campus, the Blackwood Gallery, and they connected me with an artist, Clara, that designed 2 original posters
Oh,
for our event. I'll have
beautiful.
to show
That's so
you.
awesome.
I'll have to show you them. They are stunning, and they were screen printed. And then we did an event on campus where we screen printed them. So as students were walking by, going to class, going to, like, it was right outside the student center, we'd invite like the students in to come screen print posters, and then we marched with these beautiful original posters. And that all started from one email. Like no
I
concept
love
of
it.
what was going to happen. Press enter. And I was like blown away by this beautiful thing we created, like community connections, this event, this poster. Now I have that poster framed in my office, like from one
That's so
email. So
awesome,
like
Rebecca.
you
I
never know
know.
truly. And then I did it again this year. I reached out to some artists and I got another original poster made for
Awesome.
us. And it's a work of art. And again, just from an email I sent, and I met with this artist, she connected to the topic, and this beautiful work of art, her name is Lynn, is now created for our March, and our community gets to have like this work of art for Take Back the Night, like all from an email. So my advice would be like, just ask, just send that email. You don't know what
I
can come
love
of
it.
it, and it's
That's so
beautiful.
awesome, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Good story. I'll share one more to like make sure people do what you just said. We had in January in Pennsylvania, it's cold. And about 10 years ago, I decided to do thaw out, THAW, thaw out the night for Take Back the Night. And so here's what I did. I made phone calls and I was like, how, like, dream big. Like, so
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, it's icy. I want an ice sculptor to make the big Take Back the Night logo at this fundraiser event in like all the scale. And I accidentally called one I thought it was a local person. And I called and it was in Colorado. And he was like in Austria carving ice for some palace event. and I talked to him and he was like, I told him Katie Kessler, Time Magazine, Take Back the Night, all the stuff. And he showed up with this massive, like 10 feet long piece of ice, like a white suit and a chainsaw. And it was awesome, you guys. So, like, let's do more asks. Like, I think we should all make that like another goal. Like, let's dream. Like, who cares? Like, we have a great cause. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, we have a great cause, and maybe we don't all have pink ribbons for breast cancer, but like we are a good cause. um, so I say we do more asks because I totally agree,
Mhm.
Rebecca. I was shocked. Like your story is awesome
Mhm.
though, but so because I don't have anything on my wall, the ice all melted. So you definitely win there. All I have is a photo. But it was cool. But like once in a lifetime. But yours is lifelong living. So excitement. Oh, and one more idea. I in New York City we asked tattoo artists in the Bronx, and they did a whole day of free tattoos for. Oh my God, they are so cool. Like you could just go to tattoo. They had like a sign outside and you could just go and get tattoos for Take Back the Night. And it was donate what you want because the artists were donating to
Wow.
it was so cool.
I
Cool.
love that.
Like we could do anything. We just have to ask
Yeah.
nicely. And that was just amazing. I was like, oh my gosh, you all are so cool. And they came up with like all these great designs for the event. It was beautiful. Yeah.
I don't have a tattoo, but that would be my first tattoo. Absolutely no
Yeah.
questions
Oh, we have
asked.
temporary. Take Back the Night on the store. We have temporary tattoos. I took them to Kenya. I went to help traffic girls more recently, and I was like, oh my gosh! And so all of them have like, we have them all doing like this and wearing temporary tattoos with Take Back the Night. I was like, yeah, go girls!
I love it.
Yeah, so I'm pretty like, I love, like, look at our creativity too. It's so good. Like, I think one of the hallmarks is Take Back the Night is not sit still. We're not about likes. We're about like, go out, get the people, bring them there. Like, let's do the thing. Let's talk about it. Let's shout about it. Let's sign about it. You know, like and let's dance and sing. You know, like let's do all the arts, right? So it's expressive healing. I love it. All right, Carrie. Last but not least.
So I would just say some things that we look forward to and some, pieces of advice, kind of what you just said, Katie. Bring some joy into it. So this last year we had one of our campus dance troops, Element. They came and they performed, and it was to start the event, and it was so uplifting, and they were just so excited to have this platform. And then as we were closing out the night, we had a student saxophonist, Mary Boris, who performed, and she was incredible. Everyone was just
Nice.
chills, in tears, but we wanted to make sure that there was still some joy, because as survivorship, they don't get to take that away from us. We get to still have joy. And then also, because we are go, go, go with this work, we have to remember to take care of ourselves. So we had a decompression space at our event, and we closed out with a guided meditation. And that was something I was just really passionate about, because I wanted to make sure people were taking care of themselves, from our volunteers to our participants, everyone that was there. I just wanted them to have that space. So it was really nice. We have therapy dogs on campus. So the therapy dogs were there. You got to pet the pups, and it was just a
Oh,
really great space. And so just, yeah, remember to have that joy. Remember to take care of yourselves, because if we don't sustain ourselves, we
that's right.
can't continue this work. And we all have to continue this work now more than ever.
Oh my gosh. What this is just my favorite. I'm so happy all of you joined me on the podcast. This is going to help so many and just get everyone really excited. And oh my gosh, all our Canadian friends, Rebecca, we're going to have to fast forward to get this fast time to them so they can be inspired. But it's just, I'm super excited that you all have had such good experiences. It sounds like you just keep thinking and growing, and that's what, our collective grouping of like ideas and support for one another at the national and international level is all about. So all of the work is hard, arduous, exhausting, exhilarating. It's all the good things. But thank you, all three of you, for joining me on the podcast and for supporting Take Back the Night with your hard work. And those holders, organizers around you, continue to uplift them. They are working hard too. And then all those incredible people who show up at the event, we can give them our virtual hug as well. So thank you again, and continue to stay connected. And for all of our listeners, my goodness, I hope you have been newly just invigorated as well. So there's got to be a Take Back the Night near you, and if there is not one physically near you, we have those two events at the headquarters every year. So the last Thursday of every April, we do our own virtual event. It's about an hour. It's always at 8 p.m. It ends at 9 p.m. Eastern time. You can do watch parties. We've seen people put up like white sheets, project on a quad on a wall. You can do anything you want, and hold your own in the library if you want, or outside if you want, if it's not raining. And then, of course, we've added this December 5th our international event, which will honor like policy, law, change, what's going on all around the world, because this is definitely a worldwide problem, and one that we want to continue to work on, supporting survivors everywhere and ending sexual violence in every form. So until then, journal everything you got out of today in your ongoing journal. And thank you again for joining me on the podcast. So take care, be well, until next week.